Welcome to Unclouded Eye. We're your hosts, Ashley Brooks.
And I'm Ty Gowan in a new pink shirt.
That's amazing.
I know. It's kind of cold out for November, but I wanted to wear it for you today.
It's perfect. I actually have a pink sweater that I'm going to wear next week that I picked out.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Love it.
It's pink season.
I should have waited. That would have been cute.
Yeah.
We don't have to be cute.
We don't have to be cute. We can just keep the pink rolling, you know?
Yeah, we're here for astrology and we're here for historical facts. We're not here for cuteness.
No, we're here for the astrological forecast, cosmic chit chat, weird stories.
That's right.
You got weird stories aplenty.
I can't wait to tell you this week's.
Yeah, I mean, you just told me all I know is dark oxygen.
Dark oxygen.
And I don't even know what that could possibly mean.
Then my work is done. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I'm so ready.
Anyways, Ash, for the cosmic chit chat, I'm going to tee you up.
Okay.
I hope you're ready.
I will do my best.
So for those of listeners who don't know, we come from a show called Haunt Me, where for a decade we traveled around the state of Maine and went further to explore phenomena with the paranormal that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all joined up for a specific reason. So I was wondering if you could share the story of one of your earliest haunting experiences with us.
Yes. So I've had plenty of experiences even before the one that I'll tell you today. Like I think the earliest weird thing I can remember is probably when I was about 3 or 4. But like this particular one is maybe the first time like I saw like a full apparition. And I had seen things out of the corner of my eye before this, but this was the weirder thing that I had experienced. And I think I was 12 at the time. And they had just built the Cinemagic movie theater in Saco.
Oh, the big one.
The big one, yeah. It wasn't an IMAX theater back then, but it was just a big theater. It was the first one of that franchise, which I don't think exists anymore.
No, it used to be, for those who don't know, Cinemagic, it used to be where movies and magic came together.
Movies and magic come together.
It took me until they closed to realize that that was Cinemagic.
Yeah.
It was movie and magic coming together.
It's literally like the portmanteau of Cinemagic. Yeah.
I hated the fact that it took me so long. I continue with your ghost story.
So yeah, I mean, the thing is, this was a newly constructed theater. And I went to the movies with my friend Susan, and her parents or whoever dropped us off at the movie theater. And we were excited because we're 12. We get to go to the movies by ourselves.
Alone?
Yeah, that was like a huge thing. I know some of the things that we did as kids, I'm like, I don't know if we do that nowadays, you know?
Like kids alone at 12? Well, like our parents, I mean, I was just at like a family gathering yesterday, and they were talking about when they were kids that, you know, it was suburbia life. You opened the door up in the morning and hope the kids came home at night. You know?
Exactly. So, that's a thing for sure. My dad said he would like leave the house every morning at like sunrise and go fishing as like a 6-year-old and like not come back till dinner time.
Mm-hmm. And your mom wrote me a letter once about going to the strawberry field. She hopped in the back of a truck, you know, like, and
let's just hope that this is not a sketchy person riding with. Okay. So anyway, I'm at the movie theaters with my friend by ourselves, and we went to go see a movie. I don't remember what we saw, unfortunately. I wish I did, but it was probably like 1999. So
it feels like the movie that you saw wasn't the important part of what
it
you
wasn't.
Saw that day.
It wasn't. So we got out of the movie. We're in this brand new theater. It was pretty like empty. I feel like it was maybe not a busy day. And I had to go to the bathroom. So we were waiting for her mom to get there, and she was still in the lobby. She didn't follow me into the bathroom. So I go into the bathroom, and there's 3 stalls in there. So I go to the first stall, and the bathroom's completely empty. I can see that all the stalls are open. I even looked underneath just to see if anyone's feet were there. Nobody's in there. One thing I noticed when I walked in the main door, it was extremely creaky. That's significant to the story.
Haunted house creaky?
Yeah, and it was like weird because they had just built this place, but then the main door to the bathroom to get into the bathroom was like, you know, like terrible.
Like a haunted house.
Somebody break out the WD-40. So I go into the first stall, and I am in there for a second, and then I hear that creaky sound. I'm like, oh, somebody's coming into the bathroom. Okay. So the door opens, and you know, there's kind of like small gaps in the stall, so I can see a little bit.
Yeah, these gaps are what I have nightmares about.
Yeah, right?
Do you have nightmares about?
Yeah, where they're too big?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are we just finding out about this right now?
I know. I hate those bathroom dreams where the bathrooms are dirty or the doors are not closing.
The gap, I'm so sorry, but like this must be a thing people might have. I thought it was just me.
I'm sure it's terrible.
Oh, keep going. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
Write in if you have nightmares about gaps in stall doors.
Yeah, it's terrible. So I see this woman, definitely a woman, go through the gap. Like I can see enough to see that she's wearing royal blue from head to toe. She's got a royal blue hat on and her hair is pinned up and she's wearing a royal blue like long dress and she's walking by like to the left, like to the further stalls beyond.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's really weird. I was wondering if she's maybe dressed up for like a movie premiere or something.
Yeah.
Like it almost seemed kind of like a little bit like Gone with the Wind era, like Civil War era almost. Like, and I mean, I was just seeing her through a gap. So this is just like an impression. I really don't know. Like I just saw like just weird that she was wearing royal blue to that extent. That's all.
The only time you wish that gap was bigger.
Yeah, right? I know. And so I was like, okay, that's weird. So I, immediately pretty much am done. And so I move out and then I realize that the bathroom is completely empty when I come out. She is not in either stall to the left and that door never opened again. That creaky door never opened again.
Did you ever look up what was where Cinemagic was built? Like
it was just a forest before that.
For real?
It was a forest. And so I have no idea like where she, if she was a ghost, where she came from, but it was very weird. Like I would have heard that door.
Yeah.
Like, and I was weirded out enough by her royal blue outfit that I didn't turn away. And I think it was like an automatic toilet. So I didn't like turn to like deal with that. Like I was still looking. I would have seen her go by again and she wasn't in there. But it's interesting because, they say ghosts walk through walls or through doors, but the door opened manually.
Right.
But then she was gone. So this was interesting because years later, I was at your college for a presentation. Like I used to come up to visit you in college a lot because I lived at home when I was going to school. So Krista and I would come and we kind of have the dorm experience like vicariously through visiting you at school.
You guys had the best of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like we come up a couple weekends a year, a month. And so we went to this presentation that was being given by like spirit photographers, or so they claimed.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I remember they asked, if anyone in the audience had seen a ghost. And so, a few people raised their hands, not that many, but I raised my hand. And so they called me up to stage. I didn't even go to your school, but they chose me probably because I looked like, like a hippy dippy girl, like wearing like a poncho or something, like.
Just going to agree with whatever they
say.
Like,
oh, she's like really into weird stuff. Like, okay. And so I go up on stage and they asked me to like think about the ghost that I saw. So I'm thinking about the woman in the blue dress and like, really all I know is that she had brown hair and a blue dress. Like the blue dress was the most potent thing about her. So they took this photo that was supposed to be like a double exposure that would reveal the ghost that I saw. And it was like this old woman in white that showed up.
That. It's just generic ghost.
Yeah. And so they showed it to me. And this woman that I saw was not old and she wasn't wearing white. Like the whole thing was she was a young woman wearing blue. And so they show it to me and they're like, is this the ghost you saw? And I was like, no. And then they just usher me off the stage as quick as they could.
I remember that.
And I was like, no, that wasn't the ghost I saw. They're just like, all right, everyone give her a round of applause. Like just cut me off.
Ta-da, just a random double exposed picture with an old lady.
I still have that. I think it's up in the attic in a box of old pictures.
You need to put that on the fridge.
Okay, yeah. I will. It's ridiculous. It's like kind of creepier than the actual ghost I saw.
For sure. The poor old woman who got like, she probably had like 20 pictures taken of her just sitting there looking awful.
I know.
Like,
so sad.
The spirit photographer's grandmother on overdrive.
Yeah. But anyway, there's a lady in blue in the Westbrook Cinemagic. Which,
I would love to learn more.
I mean, Saco Cinemagic.
That's so crazy too. Yeah. I wonder if she was attached to you for whatever reason or just passing on through.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there was like a portal or maybe there for some reason she's stuck in Saco, Maine. I don't know.
The forest part confuses me. The fact that there wasn't like
houses. I mean, maybe there was at some point in time, but
pre-forest,
Yeah, there was forest there in the 90s, so I don't know.
Yeah. Really cool though.
Yeah, interesting. All right.
Do you want a hard cut on over to the forecast this week?
Yeah, let's get, this is, going to be a weird episode, but this week we are starting with Monday, November 11th. I just want to send a shout out to our good friend Margie. Happy birthday, Margie.
Happy birthday, Margie. And thank you for the person idea this week. I was struggling.
That's amazing. It's Margie's birthday and you received some help.
I did, yeah.
Wonderful.
When you get curious, you reach out to Madge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Curious Margie. Okay, Monday, November 11th, Venus is moving into Capricorn at 1:25 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be here till December 7th.
Long Venus.
Yeah, Venus spends about like 3.5 weeks in a sign typically. So that's, it's a little bit of a moderate visit.
Aphrodite's got her goat this month.
Yeah, exactly. Venus in Capricorn is a very like dedicated sign. It's very sophisticated. There's a lot of like sophistication there because Capricorn is such like boss energy. And to have Venus there, it's like picture like luxurious fabrics and like nice art. Everything is like really polished and beautiful.
Girl boss Thanksgiving.
Yes, girl boss Thanksgiving. And Venus in Capricorn is also about like dedication and commitment and responsibility. So showing up for your loved ones, like, I kind of like the stereotype that goes along with it is like people with Venus in Capricorn, they just have these committed relationships and they're all about like, I'm going to support the person I love. I'm going to work hard to make sure our lives are easier. Like there's just this
That's great
element of hard work and discipline and dedication and like showing up for the people we love. So that energy is kind of highlighted over the next 3.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe showing your love more through your actions and also just really great for like if you're somebody who likes to buy like antiques or if you're trying to like redecorate your house, like you might find that you have like almost a better eye for like putting things together, having that sophisticated taste.
Cool.
Finding like things that look luxury, but even on a budget,
Ooh, very cool.
Yep.
I'm into that.
For sure. The next day, Tuesday, November 12th, we have Mercury squaring Saturn at 8:21 a.m. Eastern Time. And Mercury is at 12 degrees Sagittarius and Saturn's at 12 degrees Pisces. You're going to be feeling this all day long. And this transit is definitely a little tense. We might be more prone to perfectionism in the way that we're speaking, the way that we're writing, how we're thinking. We could be kind of beating ourselves up if things aren't coming out exactly the way we want them to.
And is this self-onus or are people prompting us to do that?
It could be a combination. Okay. I definitely think that, Mercury, it's definitely a combination. So you might be doing it to yourself or you might find that other people are being very critical of the way things are coming across. And so you're kind of being self-critical as a result. It's kind of like feeding into itself. So really important to be patient and be kind to yourself today. Like don't beat yourself up. It doesn't have to be perfect, even though the Saturn square can make us want it to be super polished and super perfect. It doesn't have to be,
Cool. Okay. I like that advice. Just kind of go with the flow.
Friday, November 15th is a big day. There's 2 pretty big transits happening.
Good transits?
Yeah, I'd say so. They're not bad. So Saturn retrograde is ending at 9:20 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday the 15th.
Congratulations, Saturn.
Yeah, it is. It is now out of its like 5-month retrograde. We love that for Saturn.
Welcome back to our orbit.
Yeah. So Saturn is at 12 degrees Pisces. It is kind of went back quite a ways. It was like nearing like the final degrees of Pisces and then it just doubled on back. So it's hanging out in Pisces for a while.
Hanging with the fishes.
Yeah, exactly. So Saturn in Pisces, the retrograde really made us, we might have found that we were having like recurring dreams or possibly having like things in our subconscious that are coming back around from the past.
Yeah.
Because Pisces governs the subconscious and the dreams and the intuition. And Saturn retrograde there could kind of make us have to repeat these kind of karmic cycles or these karmic loops that have to do with those things.
It really keeps you stuck in it.
Yeah. So you might have found like, okay, this keeps reappearing. I keep having the same dream, but it's almost like, it's trying to help you to get past it, but it could feel kind of intense.
I get that.
Yeah. You have dreams like that?
I think my dreams are like how I work through a lot of things. If paying attention to them and trying to just focus on the insights they give you more than anything else. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you could be having recurring dreams about stalls with gaps that are way too big.
Nightmares. That would be a huge nightmare.
Yeah. I mean, one of the nightmares that I have are about, this is like a weird recurring dream that I have over and over throughout my life, are finding a hidden room in my house that is full of fish tanks that I was supposed to be taking care of.
We can unpack that sometime.
Yeah, like fish tanks that I have forgotten about, that have been sitting in a room and I'm like, oh my God, I have to save these fish. Like I've just completely neglected them.
That's wild.
And it's interesting because in the past, like a decade or two ago, I would find that the fish tanks were filthy. They were like horrible. Like some of the fish had died. But now when I find it, it's like, oh, the fish are actually okay. I just kind of forgot about them, but they're fine.
That's even more we have to unpack then.
But doesn't it feel like maybe it's
Progress.
better now?
Yeah.
It's progress.
The
Yeah.
anxiety is still there, but the danger is gone.
Yeah. It's interesting.
What's going on there?
So that's the kind of stuff you might be seeing, and maybe
You got to wrap that up. You got to figure out what's going on before Saturn ends at retrograde.
So Saturn retrograde, and then maybe Saturn and Pisces. I mean, Pisces is fish.
It's fish.
Exactly.
This is your time to figure.
Yes. If you've been having weird fish dreams, now is your time. And it's so funny because you know who else has those dreams? Carol and her mom.
What?
Yeah. Carol and I figured that out one time that we both have those recurring dreams. So does her mom, Jen.
About the fish?
About the fish tanks that are hidden in their house.
Okay, for people listening, Carol is one of our investigators on Haunt Me.
Yes, she's a great friend of ours, and Jen is her mom.
You guys got to get together before Saturn ends retrograde.
I know. It's very odd. I'm going to have to talk to her about that.
I can't even scratch the surface to that.
I know. So either way, maybe you're having weird dreams about water, anything that has to do with water, with like picking up other people's energy. Like Pisces is very fluid and empathic. So yeah, there could be dreams about that, or just like recurring feelings or thoughts or things to do with the past. Okay, also on the 15th, we have a full moon in Taurus happening. And this is happening at 4:28 p.m. Eastern time on Friday the 15th.
Oh, do you know what the name of the moon is this year or this month?
I believe so. It was the corn moon last time. I think is it the corn moon? No, the corn moon was in August. I didn't write that down this time, but let me look it up real quick.
I'm so sorry. No. I only say that because I found out last month was the hunter's moon.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense because people start hunting in October.
And I'm born under the pink moon.
Oh, really? Yeah, because you were born on a full moon. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's the beaver moon.
Beaver moon. Okay.
Yeah, it's the
that could mean a lot of different things.
Get your mind out of the gutter. The full moon in November is named after beavers who can be seen preparing for the winter. Native Americans also called it the frost moon or the freezing moon. In Celtic tradition, it was called the mourning moon, as in like mourning, like crying, or the darkest depths moon.
Jesus.
I know.
Okay, let's stick with beaver.
Yeah, beaver moon. Frost moon is nice too. That's pretty. I mean,
it means the end is coming.
Yeah, beavers are cute. They're just building their dams.
Now I understand why it's the beaver moon.
Okay, let's go.
Every other option is awful.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So the full moon in Taurus is a really good time for manifesting change regarding finances, career, and personal possessions.
Okay.
So it's a really good time to bring about positive shifts. If you're unhappy with your finances, I mean, did you know the recession that we're in is worse than the Great Depression?
Great.
So I think we all need this moon.
Yeah.
Like we're all going to be like relying heavily on it.
Love that stat.
Yeah, sorry. It's the morning darkest depths moon.
Yep.
Greatest depression. I'm just here to bring the joy to you.
My gosh. I recently, this sidebar, but I recently went to my grandfather's funeral and I found out that at the funeral that he was born 10 days before the Great Depression. Can you imagine just growing up in that?
That's like his whole life. He only had 10 days.
10 days before the markets crashed. And I'd never heard that before.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
Wow. That's significant. That feels like a significant birth time.
It also
October 22nd?
When he was born. Yeah. October 14th.
14th. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it would have been like end of October that happened.
Yeah. It was just crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the full moon in Taurus could bring about some positive manifestations regarding financial shifts. Like you might find that there's some big change on the horizon. It's a really good day to manifest those things for yourself. So calling forward what you want to see rather than like complaining about the things that you're not enjoying. This is more of a time for attracting in rather than shedding stuff. So focusing more on what you want to see rather than what you want to have leave.
Great. And we had another period like that over the summer too.
We did, yeah.
That. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then on Saturday, November 16th, we have Venus squaring the nodes of the moon at
Both of
6:03.
them?
Yes.
Dragon head and butt.
Yeah, well, the dragon head and butt are always opposite each other.
So that's how we can try them.
Yeah, so if for it to square, yeah, it would be at the 90-degree point between the two, so it's squaring over to both of them.
Get the whole dragon on Saturday, guys.
So Saturday, November 16th, 6:03 a.m. Eastern time, but we're feeling it all day. Venus squaring the nodes. We could feel a little stuck in our relationships. We could also experience some creative block on Saturday. Like you're being pulled between the past and the future. So maybe there's certain people in your life that are from the past that maybe aren't great for you, but you feel like, oh, they've been in my life for so long, even though they kind of make me feel bad or whatever. Or there's like somebody new that you should be meeting, but you're like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to like take that opportunity with this person.
I'm staying in that day no matter what.
Yeah, just, it's not a good day for relationship decisions. And it's not a good day for like making a lot of creative stride.
Great. It's a movie day.
It's a movie day. It's a gaming day.
Again, I think last week I talked about the listening to you and having choice or no choice days.
Yes.
We're also going to add into this this lexicon that I'm building in my head of celestial rainy days.
Yeah.
And so Saturday, nothing's really that wrong. There's nothing that wrong with a rainy day.
No.
But probably best to just throw on a movie and, like not make any critical moves.
Yeah, exactly. Just relax. Let the entertainment wash over you.
Celestial rainy day on Saturday.
So later in the day at 9:44 p.m., we have the sun opposing Uranus. The sun is at 25 degrees of Scorpio. Uranus is at 25 degrees of Taurus. They are opposing each other, which means they're in opposite sides of the sky. And so we could feel like our moods are fluctuating really quickly. There could be some sudden impulsive decision making. So again, probably better to like chill out today. But if you're going out in the world, there could be more like putting your foot in your mouth, doing things impulsively, acting out of just, in the moment and being like, oh man, I don't know why I did that, especially with the Venus node thing. Like sun opposite Uranus could have you stumble into some cool stuff, but with Venus squaring the nodes, it's like relationship stuff is already a little messy. So you could be like saying something that offends somebody or somebody could offend you, or there's just a lot of weird chaotic energy going on. It's a chaotic day. So yeah, I would probably recommend staying in on Saturday. All right, that's what I got for you.
Okay. Are you ready for what I got for you?
Yeah, I don't even know.
I know. I told you the topic name of it before we were doing this because I knew that it wouldn't give anything away.
I'm not really on TikTok. So.
Yeah. So, I found this on TikTok. I will say that that's where I started the research, right?
Yeah. Oh, you can't just.
TikTok research can't end there, right?
No.
So, but I heard about this and I was like, if this isn't fake, right? This is incredible because it's something I'd never heard of before called dark oxygen.
Okay.
I'm guessing you've never heard that.
You're going to have to unpack that for me.
Okay. So are you familiar with the fact that like we've explored more space than the ocean type? People have said that like we've only really explored 5% of the ocean.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So this comes from what happens when you explore the 6% of the ocean. Basically, this study was published on July. I hope it's July. Yes, July 22nd of this summer. Like,
oh my gosh,
this is new.
So that's why it was on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. It was hot on Science Talk, Yeah. And so I just wanted to see if it was real. But I'm gonna bring you up to the topic of what dark oxygen is.
Okay.
So in the Clarion-Clipperton zone of the Pacific Ocean, at the bottom of the seafloor, so about 10 to 20,000 feet below the surface, there are a bunch of these rocks sitting there, and they're called polymetallic nodules, and they're scattered. Like the pictures I saw, that they just go on for miles, and unfortunately, people have been mining them since the 80s because they're super dense with metals. So the metals that are in there in the highest concentrations are cobalt, nickel, copper, lithium, and manganese. And do you know where those combinations are also found?
No.
Batteries.
Oh.
This gets weird fast and sciencey.
I just want to say, it is so hard to go down to depths of that magnitude. Sure. That's like in completely different zones of the ocean. You're down in complete darkness.
Yes,
you're down miles.
You're down. Exactly. Like nothing generally lives down there. which is where the study started.
For lanternfish.
My God, you know I love them. Pascal. So basically, the studies about these nodules and dark oxygen come by accident because people were doing the research you just mentioned.
Yep.
It's down so far that the man who did the study, his name is Andrew Sweetman, and he had a team of marine scientists that were actually studying marine biology and life at those deep depths to see how fast oxygen consumption rates were at those depths compared to higher up in the ocean. So the thesis that they had was the further you go down in the ocean, the less available oxygen there is, therefore the less sea creatures there are in that's the cycle. And so they're studying this Clarion-Clipperton zone specifically for that. And they realized, thinking that their test tools are out of whack and something's wrong with them, obviously, because they had a certain level in the ocean where there shouldn't be life, but oxygen levels start to rise. So they ended up doing a study of this, trying to swap out all the equipment and see what's going on. But the oxygen levels are actually increasing really, really to high levels without any plant life involved. And they realize that it has to do with these rocks. Something's happening with these rocks.
Oh my God, are these space rocks?
You're going to love it.
Oh, wow.
So the quote that he has that I want to give him credit for what he actually said about what's going on is, for aerobic life to begin on the planet, there had to be oxygen. Our understanding until this time, so until July, our understanding was that Earth's oxygen supply began with photosynthetic organisms. But what we know now is that oxygen can be produced in the deep sea where there is no light and where there are no organisms. I think, therefore, we need to revisit questions like, where did aerobic life actually begin?
Wow.
Like, this is huge, right? So the science of it, Ash, ready?
Yeah.
The nodules are naturally occurring formations in the bottom of the ocean under that dense pressure. And like I said earlier, they have the same properties that batteries do. So the typical, I love that, like I was able to go like into this. The article I read was amazing. So typically batteries give off 1.5 volts of energy. They actually, that's enough to actually split seawater into oxygen and hydrogen.
Okay.
So testing these nodules, they found out that because of the metallic composition of this rock, it is generating around 9.5 volts naturally. Wow. And it will never go out. Like, it's just what the chemical composition of the rock can do. Now you have thousands, hundreds of thousands of these rocks touching each other. And when the rocks touch each other, it increases the voltage. So what is essentially happening naturally without end and without man-made batteries or whatever is the sea floor in this area where these nodules are is actually performing unending seawater electrolysis. So it's splitting the seawater at that depth into oxygen and hydrogen continuously.
That's insane.
That's dark oxygen.
Wow.
So not only is it adding to our planet's oxygen concentration levels or whatever, but when he brings up the origins of life on the planet, it also brings into question that there's oxygen in these water areas, so did it start with plant life or did it start with a nodule? What created energy? I thought this was so cool.
Yeah, that's super fascinating.
So the little unfortunate cautionary tale there is, like I mentioned earlier, these have metals that are in batteries, and humans do what they do and have been mining since the 80s for these nodules. And so the team went in and they studied where these nodules have been taken from the bottom. And it's been 30 years since the mining began in some of these areas. And not 5% of the life that was found in a nodule heavy area has even come close to growing back in an area where we have taken the nodules away.
Oh, no.
So we don't understand our planet and we need to calm down.
Yeah, maybe if we deplete those too much, like something could get set off.
Absolutely. Like that's the fear, right? Like
Yeah.
this is something that we just learned about this past summer, and we've already made a dent in its ability to do what it has been doing since the beginning of time.
Wow.
So that's dark oxygen.
Primordial nodules. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I have a lot of thoughts about that. It's crazy that people even knew that those were there.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s.
Knowing to mine for them. Or
Yeah.
They're just dense full of metals.
I mean, I guess they kind of do like the sonar and like the scanning. Like they can pick up on metals. Like that's what my dad's ship was capable of. Like they could kind of like scan seafloors and kind of pick up where there were concentrations of that.
Yeah, and I didn't go deep in the mining of it or whatever. I love the science, but we should just leave them there.
Yeah, exactly.
Love to leave it there.
So I got a question for you. Would you rather go into space or the deep sea?
1,100,000,000,000% space.
I am so with you.
I don't even want to go underwater.
No, I know. I don't even go underwater. I don't even dive. I like wade into the pool or the ocean.
I have no interest ever in going deep.
No, it sounds awful. Like I listen to sometimes to these horrible like underwater cave diving stories gone wrong, and it's like the scariest thing in the world to me. How can people do that?
I would love to see the Titanic with my own eyes, but clearly that doesn't end well. So I am all set and leaving it where it is.
I'll just watch that on video footage.
Yeah, it's fine.
The ocean is a terrifying place. One of my old roommates had like a VR headset, and she had this game where you could go down into the ocean like in a cage and kind of like observe the seafloor, and at some point a shark comes at you, and I was so scared. I was like, it was like a visceral experience.
Did you launch yourself?
I was like hitting real life obstacles like coffee tables and stuff to get away from the shark, and it was so scary. Like, but even just going into the ocean and being lowered, even when you're like looking at the beautiful coral reefs and stuff, that was terrifying to me too. And it was just it was just VR.
I'm so all set.
Yeah, I'm okay. I would much rather go to space. I'm with you on that.
Want to dive into a conservationist personality?
Yes.
Because this was I wanted to tell you about the dark oxygen, right?
Yeah.
So I had to find a person. They're not like a scientist like studying. They're someone you're going to know, but they did a lot of conservation work for the ocean.
Okay.
That's the thread here.
Okay.
And thank you, Margie, for finding this for me.
Somebody born this week.
Yeah. Somebody actually born
history
on Margie's birthday.
Oh.
So we have for you 11/11/74, Los Angeles, California, 2:47 a.m.
Okay. So first of all, this is a very interesting chart. I found this chart to be very fascinating. There are a lot of really interesting things going on in it. They have a lot of Libra and Scorpio placements. So they have 4 placements in Libra that are stacked up, and they have their Libra ascendant. So this is a Scorpio sun with a Libra moon, Libra rising, 4 planets all in the first house in Libra. And then they have 3 Scorpio placements as well. So just very clumped up. If you are watching along on YouTube, you'll be able to see this chart. If not, I'll try to explain it for you. Like they have almost all of their planets in the first and second house. And then they've got a few kind of dotted around the rest, but there's a big concentration in the lower left quadrant of the chart.
That's weird.
It is weird. It's unusual, and definitely giving more of an emphasis on first and second house activities. So I haven't really gotten to go into that much, like house themes.
Is this the time?
Yeah, we're going to do it. So the first house governs ourself. It governs how other people view us. And typically people that have a lot of stuff in their first house, they are noticed. Like they enter a room, they kind of command the room. There's something about them that draws people in. Mm-hmm. There's just a certain, like, what's the French term?
Je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, exactly. There's something like that in their energy. So this person has Pluto, which gives them like a sort of intensity and a magnetism. People are drawn to them. They've got the moon there, so they're able to draw on emotions, but the moon's in Libra, so that's a very social placement for the moon. And it also is going to give them like a very natural, like diplomatic energy as well. So there's intensity there and magnetism, but there's also like this diplomacy and ability to kind of get along with lots of different groups of people.
Okay.
Then they have Mercury conjunct Uranus, which would give them a very unusual mind and would give them ideas that are somewhat like outside of like the realm of the normal. And they might be known for their unusual way of thinking or interacting. Like there's something slightly unusual about that placement. The second house is all about like personal possessions, the things that you own, finances, and also personal values. So they've got their Mars, their Sun, and Venus all in Scorpio there. So there's a lot of energy put on like finding security, accumulating wealth, or just having like certain things like taken care of.
Okay.
So there could have just been like a natural inclination. I'm assuming this person is like a famous person, which means that they might be wealthy. But even if they weren't, if they were just some random person, born, just anywhere in the world, like they might have had a strong drive to have their security taken care of and to work hard to achieve that. With the Sun conjunct Venus, this would have made and Pluto in the first house, this person seems like they would be very magnetic and people are really drawn to them. There could almost be like kind of like a very attractive or like a sex symbol.
Okay.
Let's see. There's no Earth in their chart at all. They have no Earth placements. And so I think we've done a couple charts. Like it was R.L. Stein who had no water in his chart. Mm-hmm. And I actually found a quote from R.L. Stein after we recorded that episode where he said something like, somebody asked him what the meaning of his Goosebumps books were. And he's like, there's no meaning. Like they're just for fun. Like kids, adults can watch things just for fun. Why can't kids just read things just for fun? There's no meaning. He has no water in his chart. Water is all about finding meaning in things and the depth.
That's so funny.
And that's exactly it. Like he was just like, it's just fun. It's just a fun story. It's just to scare kids and like get them to like explore something. Like there's no meaning.
That's so great quote. So
yeah,
what would the Earth then
there's
be?
This would be like very head in the clouds. Everything has meaning. Everything has purpose. And, because they've got a lot of water and a lot of air. So they're very people oriented. No Earth would mean like there's not a lot of consistency here. There might be like some ungrounded certain things. Like this person might be more impulsive, more exploratory, more adventurous.
How does that factor in with their love life? Because I know that this person has a very unique love life.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that would mean probably not as much consistency. They also have Chiron in the 7th house. There could be like different partners or, like just not like consistent. Like I would be surprised if you were like, this person married their high school sweetheart and never left them. Like it seems like there might be some ups and downs in that area. And Venus is conjunct the Sun. So they have no trouble finding partners. It just seems like maybe there's not consistency. They could be like a player.
Yeah, I think they're known for that, which is why I kind of wanted to bring that up.
But they also have Saturn trining those things. So they do have the capability to commit, but there's almost like they almost want to, but then there's like a fear at the same time.
Okay.
So maybe we don't know that part of it. Yeah, that's on them. So yeah, that's what I've got for you.
Well, this is Leonardo DiCaprio. How do you feel about that?
It checks out.
Yeah, right. I was listening to it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wait, no.
It's so funny to listen to these from my standpoint as you explain these people without knowing who they are. I love it.
Oh my gosh, that must be fun. Okay. That makes all the sense. So for anyone who doesn't know, Leonardo DiCaprio is kind of like well known for dating a lot of younger women.
Right.
They're of age, but they're, he's like in his 40s or 50s and he's
like, very changeable.
Yeah. And he's about to turn 50 actually. Right. Yeah. He's 74.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he's turning 50 this week. And they're like in their early 20s. A lot of the girls he dates.
That's his preference. But what we're going to talk about in the connection to the dark oxygen is that I didn't know this until Margie clued me in. But he's an avid nature conservationist, and he's so cool. Founded a ton of charities.
I didn't know that either.
He serves on the board of something called the Pristine Seas, I think, a foundation, and then something called the Ocean's 5 Council. He's also been sought after as a speaker for the UN on conservation needs as well.
Okay.
So he might not have Earth in his chart, but he's certainly here for it.
Well, he's got the second house stuff too. So even though that's like security and possessions, it's also personal values.
Yeah, and
so
he values the planet.
Yeah, there's depth. Scorpio would mean that there's depth there. His values have depth, and maybe Scorpio is a water sign, so the values align to the water.
I love it.
Interesting.
So jumping back to his own personal history is that I found out that his mother states that she decided to name him Leonardo because she was looking at a Da Vinci painting in Italy when she first felt him kick.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cute.
Sweet. Also kind of bittersweet, but his parents got divorced when he was just a year old. However, they wanted to share responsibility in raising him. So they bought twin cottages that shared a garden. And they raised him that way, that they had their own homes and they had their own lives, but they wanted to be part of his life.
Oh, good for them.
So growing up, he stated that he knew what he wanted to do. He either wanted to be a marine biologist or he wanted to be an actor. People say that they just loved watching him watch other people play characters and act. Like he was soaking that all in and he wanted to do that too. So it seems like the marine biology section wasn't a possibility for him because he just did not like school.
Okay. Yeah.
So he wanted to spend his educational time auditioning for acting roles instead. And so he ended up dropping out of high school, getting his GED. And while he was doing that, he was working on commercials to try to land gigs. So he got smaller roles much earlier in his life, like on Growing Pains, I think it was.
Okay, yeah.
And then he played opposite Johnny Depp in What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually just watched this movie maybe a month ago, and I had no idea who was in it. But there's a Western called The Quick and the Dead. Have you seen that?
I haven't, no.
It's slapstick. It's kind of funny. I really enjoyed it. And then there's just young DiCaprio in there just dropping charm bombs like no one's business.
Yeah.
And then I think Ash being a child of the 90s.
Romeo and Juliet.
You knew it was coming next. Were you obsessed?
Of course I was.
Okay.
I had the unofficial Leonardo DiCaprio like poster book. Yeah, like
that's amazing.
It was definitely like an early like childhood crush.
The 90s were so weird.
Oh yeah.
Just I can see the poster.
Romeo and Juliet era specifically.
People were rabid about
it was a little too oversaturated by Titanic. I was like, okay.
Yeah, that did it for you.
Yeah, I'm like, too many people are into it. Too cool.
But yeah,
cool enough.
You talked about it right though, where he was Romeo and Juliet, and then he went to Titanic.
Yeah.
But he turned down a role in Boogie Nights so that he could be in Titanic.
I mean,
can you imagine his career path if he had it? Like,
wow, that was like very prescient of him to like. Especially given his interest in the water, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Jack Dawson.
I think he gets associated with that quite a bit too.
Yeah.
You know, like because of his work on Titanic.
Makes sense, yeah.
And you know what? He's a 50-year-old activist who's worked as a producer, a writer, a director, and he's in over 100 different films.
Yeah, he's a great actor for sure.
And so he's been doing it for a while. And I really just want to highlight also that he's such an activist that he recently started actually not recently, sorry. He's recently re-promoting the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation, which he founded in 1998.
Oh, wow.
So really early. And he wants to promote awareness to environmental issues. They've funded over 200 projects so far, totaling in $100 million in support of both sea and land, not sand. That's one word. Land and sea prospects. And so that is Leonardo DiCaprio being our Jack Dawson saving the world.
I didn't even know any of that. Like, right? I feel sad that that's not promoted for like as much to the public as like his love life.
Love life. That's why I brought it up, because everyone knows that like he has interest in younger women.
Yeah.
But look at all the good that he's doing.
Yeah,
too,
exactly. I mean, they're of age. They can consent, I guess.
And so that was the loose connection to the dark oxygen, but I had to find something.
That's so interesting. I mean, that makes sense, you know, like this is on his radar as well.
Yes, we got to get him on this podcast so we can talk about those nodules.
He'll be our first.
Polymetallic nodules, Leo. Tell us more about it.
I need to know. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ty. That's super fascinating. And I think we should probably just leave those nodules alone until we know a little bit more.
That's right. Leave the sea batteries where they lie.
Yeah. I mean, maybe for all we know, that's what's powering the lanternfish.
There we go. That's why they glow. Mm-hmm. Love it.
All right.
Cool. Well, until next week, Ash.
Thanks, everyone. Unclouded Eye stars Ashley Brooks and Ty Gowan. It's produced and directed by Nick Nordfors. Music by Ashley Jane Cecilia and Jay Caron. Our community manager is Erin Cross. Our art is by Dawn Aquarius. Unclouded Eye is presented by Haunt Me Official on YouTube. Follow Unclouded Eye at Unclouded Eye on Instagram and TikTok, and unclouded_eye on Patreon. Special shout out to Michelle Adams and Rowena Lazelle. Thank you so much for your support.